NFL free agency starts March 13th, and this year's free agent class is stacked, and a lot of teams are going to be looking to improve through free agency, and one such team that I'm going to be looking at are the Chicago Bears, and I'm going to give you a rundown of who I think they should be targeting in free agency and why. So let's start right from the top. What are the team holes for the Chicago Bears? And right off the top of my head, I could picture Jay Cutler running for his life because the Chicago Bears do not have an offensive line that they need to address this season, because their offensive line was like a badly knit sweater that was just sewn together. It just didn't work. They had guys playing who were left tackles playing right guards, right tackles playing left guards. It was just a big mess under Mike Martz, and he's gone now. It's a new regime with Phil Umbry. Let's see what the Bears can do, but especially on the offensive line, you need a left tackle. Gabe Karimi was injured a lot last season, so we didn't get to see him too much, but all in all, address the offensive line. Then Jay Cutler needs a solid number one wide receiver, not a number two, not a number three, a number one wide receiver. Devin Hester is a punt returner, playing receiver. Johnny Knox is too small, and he's recovering from that horrendous injury he suffered last season. Roy Williams is washed up, plain and simple, and Earl Bennett, no disrespect, is a number two, not a number one. Then you need a tight end. Ever since Greg Olsen left, Jay Cutler doesn't have the security blanket that Aaron Rodgers has with the Jermichael Finley, or that Alex Smith has with the Vernon Davis. Kellen Davis isn't going to cut it, I'm sorry. And then on the other side of the ball, the defense, you need a safety and an outside linebacker to back up Urlacher and Briggs, who are getting up there in age as Father Time catches up to them. So, looking at wide receivers, who do I think the Bears should target? The easiest name any NFL fan can name off the top of their head is Vincent Jackson, the two-time Pro Bowl wide receiver from the San Diego Chargers, who was one of the premier wide receivers that didn't get tagged by the Chargers. You know, Dwayne Bowe was another guy the Bears were looking at, but he got tagged by the Chiefs. Vincent Jackson is set to hit the free agent market, and he's going to be expensive, but believe me, he is worth every penny. He's big, he's 6'5", I think 235, somewhere around there. A big target Jay Cutler could aim for down the field. He would be a bona fide number one option for Jay Cutler. The Bears should look to get him right off the first day of free agency. Then a second-tier free agent wide receiver is Marques Colston from the Saints. The Saints are in all sorts of problems right now with the whole bounty problem, and the fact that they can't even lock up Drew Brees because they have their hands tied up in too much cap space. Not enough to give Marques Colston, Drew Brees, Robert Meacham, Carl Nicks, their all offensive linemen. So they're going to be letting go of some people, and Marques Colston is a very good wide receiver that the Bears could target. And then Robert Meacham, like I mentioned, he's pretty solid too. And then on the O-line, I like Jared Gaither from the Chargers. He's a solid offensive lineman. Carl Nicks from the Saints, again, he's very good. He's a Pro Bowl offensive lineman, but he'll be extremely expensive, and I don't know if the Bears' pockets are deep enough for him. Let's see if they are. Tight ends, I like Fred Davis from the Washington Redskins. He's a solid, underrated tight end. He should be pretty good. Come at a bargain, I believe. If the Bears do look to address tight end, he should be the one they're looking at. For defense, Mario Williams is the big name because the Texans did not tag him. He is a former number one overall draft pick, but he's a bit too injury prone for my liking still. He would be a monster playing alongside Julius Peppers. And then on linebacker, I have Don Connor. And then for safety, I have Kelvin Hayden. And let me give you guys three scenarios of what I think will happen. So I have a best case scenario, a worst case scenario, and a realistic scenario. Let me start off with the best case scenario. The Bears signed Vincent Jackson and Marques Colston, Fred Davis, and Jared Gaither for the O-line. I know that's a lot wishful thinking here, but that's the best case scenario. Get two stud wide receivers, a tight end, and an O-lineman, and just like that, I think the Bears would be Super Bowl contenders without a doubt. And now the other side, the worst case scenario, you sign Robert Meacham and you overpay, no disrespect, overpay Mario Williams to improve your defense. Again, you would only be addressing wide receiver, and Robert Meacham is definitely not a number one wide receiver. That's the worst case scenario. And here's the most realistic scenario of what I think the Bears will do in free agency. I think they'll get Marques Colston, and they'll probably get another secondary receiver, maybe a Meacham, and then they'll get a linebacker, Don Connor, and they will draft an O-lineman. That is what I think the Bears will do in free agency. Let me know what you guys think. Comment, rate, subscribe. And if you guys want, I can do one of your favorite teams. Look for who I think they should target in free agency. Just comment down below, and I'll check it out. Thanks.